Hey, what's happening? Gary Semix. Thank you for joining my online training. There's going to be some exercises and cardio and stuff that is a little bit different probably than what you're used to. So I want to go through the exercises. It's really important to use the proper technique on all these things. Now I'm going really light right now. Not because I'm that weak, but I haven't been doing these exercises. I'm really not warmed up, and I don't want to blow a gasket or something. But you'll have to adjust the weight according to your size and strength, current level of conditioning. But let me warn you that with weights, they are so effective at making you stronger, not only your muscles, but your bones, joints, ligaments, tendons, all those things. But man, most of the time they're misused, especially for motocross. So that's why it's really important to follow directions that I supply you with on your training forms. I mean, when you're starting out, you are so light that it don't even feel like you're getting a workout in. As your body has to adapt to the technique, the movements, and start to build real gradually, we'll keep increasing the weight, reps, sets, all those things for you specifically. So don't try to be a strong guy and start out too heavy. It's not only can risk injury, but it's going to tighten you up, make you worse riding the bike, which happens to a lot of guys, and then they think, oh man, lifting weights is no good. But it is good if you know how to use it. So let's start out with a simple deadlift. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to do, a lot of people would think, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do it right. So let me just take you through the right way to do it. I'm not going to talk so much now about sets and reps because that's going to be different for each one of you as you progress through your programs. So just a basic exercise of the deadlift is feet shoulder width apart, bars really should be right under your feet, on top of your feet. Knees slightly bent, and here's the important thing, the back's got to stay arched. The worst thing you can do is crouch your back. It's got to stay arched. You got to keep your butt kind of sticking out and your back real straight. So you come down, you get the bar, you put a little load on it, and you want to feel that load in your hamstrings and glutes. And the weight should be, your body weight and the weight should be on your heels, not on your toes. So on your heels. So that's, you're just going to come up like that and down. Now there's two different styles of deadlifts that affect the muscles differently. You're going to use the style where it's more in your low back, glutes, and hamstrings than it is in your quads. Which means when you do the deadlift, you're not going to squat down so far like this. If you do deadlifts like this, see how far I'm squatting down? It's going to be mostly legs. And if you do them like that, with all the cycling you're going to be doing, all the motocross riding, and the squats, it's going to be too much on your legs. So you want to do the deadlifts in this style, where your legs slightly bend, but you're doing it more with your back and your glutes and your hamstrings. So that's what it would look like. Each time you come down, you should take the slack off the bar, load it again, do your next rep. Big difference in that technique. It's more of a straight back technique. Make sure you do bend your legs though. You don't want to have them too straight. Bend your legs. So that's the way you want to do your deadlifts. Okay, the next exercise I want to explain to you is called the clean squat press. Same as you're starting out to do the deadlift, you're going to load the bar a little bit, but you're going to pull it all the way up to here. And then you want to go down into a squat and then a press. Bam. That would be one rep. When you come up it's kind of like starting out with the deadlift, but instead of stopping here, you're bringing it all the way up to here. You want to keep the bar kind of back as close to you as you can. So when you go down into your squat, you know, it's not too far out here in front of you. Keep it back as close as you can. Squat and then overhead. Make sure, now this is where a lot of guys don't get this right, they don't go deep enough in the squat. If you do kind of like halfway squats, you're just working the quads. You're not working the hamstrings or glutes. Where the glutes come in and the hamstrings is when your knee, or your hip, your hip goes below your knee. That's glutes and hamstrings. So you want to make sure you get that full range of motion. The hip joint goes below the knee joint and up. Pretty much the same technique as far as the way your back position is. Straight back, butt sticking out. Weight on the heels as you go into your squat. And then of course the press overhead. So it's a clean squat, press. Come down, unweight the bar, right into the next one. Clean squat press. Now we're going to be doing a lot of leg work already with the cycling, riding your motorcycle, some squats and things. So you might want not to do the clean squat press every time, and I'll have that marked in your weekly training, how many reps and sets you should be doing. So you just leave the squat out. So you might do, for instance, an example, you might do 6 reps of 3 sets with a clean squat press. Then you might do 3 or 4 more sets with just the clean press. So that's the same thing, except you're leaving the squat out. That's 1, 2. And of course I'll have those marked on your sheets. Okay, one more thing in this area is the squat. Again, a lot of people think, oh, squats, yeah, I know how to do them, but there's a technique that you gotta do well. Some of it's the same as what we were just doing with the deadlift, but it all starts with where you put the bar on the back of your head or neck. You know, you can have it up here too far in your neck, or you can have it way down here too far. It's got to be right in the right spot, right in across your shoulder blades, really. Feet shoulder width apart, and here again, it's so important to get back on your heels. And you can check this by raising your toes up off the floor a little bit, keeping that weight on your heels, your back straight, arched, and then going down below that line, so your hip joint gets down below your knee joint. And you should feel most of that lift in your hamstrings and glutes if you're doing it right. Hamstrings and glutes. Of course your quads are working too. So make sure your technique is good on those squats. Okay, next is one-legged step-ups. Now you want to make sure you get something high enough that knee joint is lower than higher. Your knee joint is higher than your hip joint. Okay, again, it's going to bring in the glutes and hamstrings. So it's just you can hold weights or put a weight over your head even if you want to, but starting out you don't need any weights really, because you're just using one leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, however many reps you're doing. The other way. 1, 2, 3. If your sheet tells you to alternate legs, it'd be like this. So that's your one-legged step-ups. Next demonstrato here is the one-arm lat dumbbell pulls. Just get at about a 45-degree angle off of the bench. You're going to take your dumbbell, pull it up and down, right in here, working those lats. Keep your knuckles straight ahead. Don't rotate it like to the side. Straight ahead. Back straight, not crouched. Back straight. And of course you gotta switch sides, do the other side. Okay, dumbbell bench press is pretty simple, but I want to make sure that you're going deep enough with your range of motion. So that means pretty far down and up. You don't have to touch each time you come up, but every once in a while if you want to touch, that's okay. Just make sure you get that full range of motion. And then when you come up, if they're really heavy, you can just drop them. But if they're not too heavy, just bring them up to your knees when you come up. Kind of do a sit up. Bring them up like that. It's a little easier. Okay, next thing, demonstrato, is the incline dumbbell bench press. The reason I want to show you this is to make sure your incline is at about a 45-degree angle. You don't want to have it too low. Of course, not too high, but that nice 45-degree angle. And basically, it's the same thing as your bench press as far as the technique goes, but you're right here on incline press. And the reason we're doing these different exercises is to strengthen the muscles all across the muscle, the lower part, upper part, same way with the shoulders. So it's important to do a little bit of range of motion on some of these exercises. Okay, next exercise is your standing cable rows. This is a really good one for motocross for pretty much your entire back. Again, technique's going to be important. You can use different holders on the cable. I like this one here. Of course, you can use a straight bar and then be, it's kind of a straight bar, and then be about handlebar width apart, or even a bar like this. So anyway, whatever bar you're using, you keep your knees slightly bent. Same kind of position that you're in for the squats and the deadlifts. Just weight it up, keep your back straight, and pull it back. You don't want to try to pull it way up here. Just pull it back to kind of where your abs are right there. Keeping your knees slightly bent, weight on your heels, and targeting your back muscles that you want to work. Make sure you come all the way back. Try to pinch your shoulder blades together at the end of each rep. Standing cable rows. Next exercise is cable lat pull downs. Handlebar width apart, lean back a little bit and pull this right down to below your chin. Don't try to go way down or anything, just right down there to where it's comfortable, down below your chin. So you don't want to be too vertical up like this. You're going to be leaning back a little bit. And nice and smooth. Don't try to use too much weight where you're kind of swinging to get the weights in, the reps in. Just use a weight that you can maintain the position you're supposed to be in and work the muscle group that you're working. Keep it simple. All right, core work. You know, there's a lot of different kind of core work you can do, and for motocross, keeping your core strong, I've found these two core exercises to work just fine. They're really good for your posture and strengthening your posture and really all your core muscles. Plus you're doing a lot of core work when you do your squats, deadlifts, and stuff like that. So let me just show you these two. And this is pretty much all you're going to need to do unless I find something else to give you. I call these the crunches. You can see my positioning. Now the technique is critical. When you come up, you want to have all the weight on the small of your back. And you want to rotate your pelvis up at the same time, up like that. So you're trying to lift your butt off the floor and your shoulder blades. That's why they're called crunches. You're crunching up. And you want to support your head just so you're supporting it. You're not pulling up on your neck. That's not good for your neck at all. So just come up to that crunch, and you're going to do, when you're starting out, you'll probably only be able to do 5 reps like this, and then you want to isometric hold for 5 seconds, and that's, your feet are weightless, you're crunching as hard as you can with your pelvis and your shoulder blades. After 5 seconds, do 5 more reps. After a week or 2, you should be able to graduate up to 10 reps. 10 reps, hold for 10 seconds, 10 more reps. That would be 1 set. And then you're only going to have to do 2 sets of those. So those are your crunches. The reason they're so good is when you rotate your pelvis off the floor, you're using all of your ab muscles all the way down to the bottom of your groin. All those ab muscles are getting worked. Where if you do conventional sit-ups, it's mostly the upper ab work, upper abs. So those are your crunches. Okay, the other core exercise is side crunches. You're going to need a good ball. Careful what balls you get. I mean, you can get them cheap ones that they don't have enough pressure. They're too soft and they just keep expanding, but they remain too mushy and soft. So you want to get a good ball that's pretty firm enough. I mean, the really good balls that cost like $90, when they're where they're supposed to be, you can only push your finger in about 1/4 of an inch. That's how hard they are. I have one of those upstairs that I use every day, but I keep this one down here to use it. I mean, it works good enough. So your side crunches, technique's really important. Where you sit on the ball is important. You're going to put your legs up against something to stabilize yourself. Fold your arms right here, and then just crunch it up and down, like that. And on the, it's the same as the regular crunches, where you're going to do like 5 reps and then hold for 5 seconds and do 5 more reps, and that would be 1 set. And of course you got to switch and do the other side too. After a few weeks you get a little more conditioned for it. You can up that to 30 reps altogether, which would be 10 reps on your side crunches, hold for 10 seconds, 10 more reps. Here's another thing to keep in mind. You can adjust the intensity, the resistance, by where you move your hip on the ball. The further down your hip the ball is, the more resistance you're going to get. I mean, the further up, you get it clear up here almost on your side, it's basically hardly any resistance at all. So you can adjust that resistance as you progress. Okay, in this session, that's all the exercises and techniques and methods that I have to share with you right now. As I get more, of course, I'll give you more links for more videos. You know, I welcome your text and emails and your phone calls. If you have any questions, I want you to ask me so we make sure you're on the right track with everything. So I want to thank you again for signing up for my online training. Stay in touch.